Children, please be ready for the pledge. Place your right hand on your heart and repeat. I, Shruti Narayan, commit to be vigilant and bear in mind at all times the risk to myself and my colleagues from COVID-19. I promise to take all necessary precautions that prevent the spread of this deadly virus. I promise to follow and encourage others to follow the key COVID appropriate behaviors, to always wear a mask or face cover, especially when in public places, to maintain a minimum distance of 6 feet from others, to wash my hands frequently and thoroughly with soap and water. Together, we will win this fight against COVID-19. Today, we start with the lesson on humidity. So, humidity actually means the amount of water vapor which is present in the air. So water is unusual because it can be found in all three states of matter in everyday life. It is found in the solid state as ice, in the liquid state as water, and in the gaseous state as water vapor. Water in its different states affects our planet and our lives in many ways. So water vapor, the water that is continuously evaporating from seas and lakes, creates water vapor in the air. This is the moisture which is present in the atmosphere. Water vapor condenses to form clouds and precipitates in the form of rain and snow. The amount of water vapor in the air at any time is known as its humidity. The water vapor in the air also prevents our bodies from desiccation. Desiccation means drying up. In this chapter, we are mostly concerned with water in the vapor state in the atmosphere and the processes by which it passes into liquid or solid state and ultimately arrives at the surface of the ocean and lands through the process of precipitation. Now let us understand the hydrological cycle or the water cycle. The ocean is the primary source of water on Earth. Water evaporates from the oceans into the atmosphere. Water also enters the atmosphere through evaporation from plants. The process is referred to as transpiration, and evaporation from other water surfaces. The water vapor in the air condenses into clouds. Winds blowing from the ocean transport the moisture in the cloud. This condensed water vapor is given out as rain and snow, mainly over land. Some of this precipitation that falls is absorbed by plants and soil. The rest of it runs into rivers or seeps into underground streams. This is referred to as surface runoff. The excess quantity flows in the form of rivers and streams to reach the sea. From the land, water makes its way back to the sea and the cycle begins again. Thus, a balance is maintained. There is a global water balance, just as there is a global heat balance. But children, the actual movement of water rarely resembles the simple example which was given. The actual cycle is much more complex. For example, some of the water may seep underground and later appear on the surface in the form of a spring at some other place. Some of the water may remain frozen and may become part of the cycle only when it melts. Some water may become a part of the city water supply before joining this cycle. But children, for your understanding, the hydrological cycle is actually the interchange of different states of water between the ocean, the land, and air. Evaporation, condensation, and precipitation are the three physical processes which are involved in the hydrological cycle. And one very important thing, children, which you must have noticed is that the amount of water on the surface or in the oceans and seas is constant, This is because all the water that evaporates from the Earth's water bodies is eventually returned to it directly by the process of condensation and precipitation, and indirectly by stream and overflow from land surfaces. The sun provides the energy for the hydrological cycle or the water cycle, which involves three physical processes: evaporation, condensation, and precipitation. This cycle involves the physical change of water into water vapor, water, ice, and changes in geographical position of water. Water circulates between the hydrosphere, atmosphere, and lithosphere. This process involves energy exchange. Hence, it provides energy for various weather phenomena. So, of prime importance in meteorology are the exchanges of heat energy accompanying changes of state. When water is boiling, its temperature remains fixed at 100 degrees centigrade, although it is continued to be heated. This extra heat or energy which is being supplied is absorbed from the surrounding and used to convert boiling water into its water vapor state. Since this energy is not seen on the thermometer, it is known as the latent or hidden heat. For every gram of water that is evaporated, about 600 calories of heat passes into the latent heat. This results in a drop in temperature of the remaining liquid. So, what happens is that during condensation, an equal amount of energy is released and the temperature rises. So, when condensation occurs, this latent heat is released back into the atmosphere, causing a slight rise in temperature. That is why during the rainy season you must have experienced that uh, you experience more heat than when the skies are clear. So, when water changes into water vapor, heat energy is absorbed. When water vapor changes into water, heat energy is released. That is why when it rains in winter, the air becomes warmer. When water freezes into ice, heat energy is released. When ice melts into water, heat energy is absorbed. So, the three physical processes involved in hydrological cycle are evaporation, condensation, and precipitation, and we'll study about each of them. First, let us study about evaporation. Evaporation is the process by which water is converted into water vapor by the heat of the sun. So, evaporation is more rapid at higher temperature. The rate of evaporation is thus directly related to the temperature of air. Boiling is an example of evaporation at a particular temperature. When the temperature is high, the rate of evaporation also increases. Now let us see the factors affecting evaporation. The first is humidity. So, when the air is dry, then its capacity to take in water vapor increases. So, if the air is dry, the rate of evaporation is also more. On the other hand, if the air is already holding a lot of water vapor, then the rate of evaporation comes down. That is why you must have seen that during the rainy season, the clothes take a longer time to dry up because the air is already humid. Whereas during the summer season, when the humidity is low, the clothes dry up very fast. So, humidity is an important factor affecting the rate of evaporation. The second is the supply of heat or temperature. Higher the temperature, higher the rate of evaporation. So when the temperature is high, the water gets heated, and as a result of this, the rate of evaporation also increases. The third factor is winds. Winds also promote evaporation. So when the winds blow, it increases the rate of evaporation. The wind carries away the moist air, which is replaced by dry air. And again, the rate of evaporation increases. So the wet clothes dry more quickly on a windy day than when the conditions are calm. So these are the three factors which affect the rate of evaporation.